Hey everybody, this is Tim with Op-Ed Daily. I may have uncovered another hoax within the 9/11 conspiracy, if you will. A guy named Jim Gartenberg was broadcast live on a New York news station, and he was giving information about where he was, what was going on around him, and trying to console other families that had loved ones in the trade towers. But there's an issue with that phone call and the phone calls prior to it. And we're going to talk about that in detail today. The first phone call was to his wife. Then he received a phone call from his wife after she missed the first phone call. Then he received a phone call from his friend. Then he calls the news station and was broadcast live. And then we hear an interview from his friend about that broadcast with his voice. So let's dig into this and you'll understand what I mean by the end of this video. All right, here's the first audio clip of him leaving a message for his wife. Note the demeanor of Jim.
Still, there's a fire in my flat. I love you, Carl. I love you. I don't know if I'm going to be okay here. I love you so much.
Okay, so there's an audio clip right there of Jim, and he's freaking out and he's panicked. He's scared to death. He's trying to tell his wife that he loves him, that he loves her, and this is something that I believe would be typical for most people. Nothing wrong with this message, but the demeanor is that he is in a state of panic. Clearly, he is in a state of panic. But that's about to change, oddly enough. But before it changes, let's go to his friend who called him once his friend realized that the trade towers were on fire. His friend calls Jim, and Jim answers the phone. And this is how the friend described that phone conversation. Here's that audio clip.
I turned on CNBC and they said, we go live to the World Trade Center and there was smoke coming out of the building. The first thing I did was call his office. He picked up the phone right away and he had a voice that I'd never heard before, and it was, just utter panic and fear and expletives. There's fire, there's smoke everywhere, there's debris, I can't get out. You got to get me out of here. He had asked what happened, and he didn't know, and I didn't know.
Okay, so here we've got his friend talking to him on the phone, and his friend is describing Jim's demeanor and state as very panicked. He doesn't know what to do. He's, the building is apparently falling all around him. There's fire, there's smoke, there's all this, destruction all around this guy, and he's freaking out, like most people probably would be. Okay, but then what happens next blows my mind, and this is where the issues that came into my mind came from. I haven't seen anybody talk about this yet, actually, and that's the only reason I'm doing this video 15 years after the fact. I've never seen any mention of this anywhere, this discrepancy here. So I feel like it's important to get these things out there, and it's something I saw, so I want everybody to know it. Now listen to this. He allegedly calls a New York news station, okay, to report his location, to, whatever, get his story out there. I don't know what the purpose of that was. But I'll talk about that after you listen to this phone call that was on air on live TV, in fact. All right, here's that clip.
World Trade Center 1, and it's not was. I am here, and I'm stuck right now.
Now, are you above, Jim, or below?
I have no idea. I have no idea where the plane hit. It's my understanding that it's a plane.
Jim, there are two planes. One went into one tower, one went into the other tower. What do you see around you? I mean, are you in smoke? Are you in fire? I mean,
the first thing that I want to make clear is that I'm stuck on the 86th floor. A fire door has trapped us. Debris has fallen around us, and part of the core of the building is blown out.
How many people are with you, Jim?
I'm with one other person, and I'm told that people are aware of this. I'm on the 86th floor on the east side of the building facing the East River.
And what time did
I'm
you
on
get...
the air, I want to tell anybody that has a family member that may be in the building that the situation is under control for the moment. and the danger has not increased. So please, all family members, take it easy.
Jim, one of our producers, too, if you'd call NYPD and let them know exactly where Jim and that other person is staying, 86th floor.
86th floor on the east side of the building facing the river.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
There are two of us here.
Okay, Jim. We'll try to try to make sure that we can alert everybody, and also it's good that you did mention that families should, to some extent, to have some calm right now. What time did you get to work?
I got to work around 8 o'clock this morning, and I think this happened around 8:45.
It did. Describe what you felt.
I felt just the whole building. I heard a noise, felt the whole building shake, and saw glass blown out. The glass on my floor was blown out from the inside of the building out, rather than the exterior windows being blown out.
And what
glass fully shattered, and just the core of the building, the interior core of part of the building collapsed.
Okay, so in this TV news broadcast, you hear Jim in this very calm, very confident voice telling the entire nation to be calm, telling all the families with anybody that's inside the Twin Towers to be calm and that the situation hasn't gotten worse. Something great for somebody to say, but it contradicts the entire demeanor of Jim in both of the calls that he had made prior to that. Now, this really solidifies to me, this next audio clip that I have, it really solidifies to me the fact that I believe that call to the news station is actually a hoax, a complete and total fabrication of somebody's voice. Keep in mind, when you're listening to that audio clip of him talking to the broadcasters, you don't hear fire. You don't hear things falling. You don't hear people screaming. You don't hear coughing. You don't hear popping. You don't hear any of the things that you would think you would hear from somebody who's saying there's fire all around me. Everything's falling down. And then keep in mind also that this guy used the term, the core was blown out. And he made sure to point out to everybody in the world that the core was blown out, as if he would even know what that is. The core was blown out, and that the windows blew out instead of in. He made sure that everybody knew that. This isn't something that somebody who is in a state and about to die is going to divulge. I don't think that that's true, especially when the last two phone calls that this guy made, he was actually in quite a state of panic. Now, here's the audio clip of his friend in an interview talking about him hearing Jim on that news broadcast. Here's that clip.
They broadcast his voice. I still have tapes of that and listen to it, and it's eerie. The voice that I hear on that is not his, and it's just so odd as far as the voice is concerned. But his message was unbelievably calm and brave and stoic. Having seen that was just a tremendous tribute.
Okay, so now his friend is saying the voice that I heard in that broadcast was not Jim's voice. That's what he said. He didn't mince words. He didn't say, man, he sure sounded weird. He must have been scared. No, he said that wasn't his voice and that it was eerie. So it sounds to me like this guy was put out there to the world in a way that would get people to, it would plant the seed about this core column having blown out, because they already had the plan for what the official story was going to be long before the planes ever flew into the towers. That's what it feels like to me. So to recap, the first two calls that he has made to anybody, the first one he makes to his wife, he's in a state of panic. He then calls her, she calls him, and she claims he wasn't panicking. But the third call that he made, or at least received, was from his friend, and his friend said that he was in a state of panic. Okay, so he's still in a state of panic when he's speaking to his friend after he had spoken to his wife already. And then at some point in the future, and keep in mind, He's claiming that the building is falling in around him, that this explosion had blown the windows out of the towers, and he called the news station to make sure that everybody knew that the core had been blown out and we couldn't get to where we needed to go, and the windows had been blown out instead of in. What significance that would have, I don't know, but this isn't something that I would think somebody in a state of panic, which he clearly was in, would be making these statements to somebody on a news broadcast. And who even calls a news broadcast anyway, other than for fame? I don't know. I don't think that was Jim on the phone. And I hope that no family members of Jim actually hears this, because I'm certain there was a guy named Jim Gartner that died that day. And I don't want to be insensitive to that family, and for that I am sorry, but I don't believe that was his voice. The friend said that that wasn't his voice. He makes statements that normal people wouldn't make. This person, whomever it was, who called into the news broadcasting. I'm sorry, but if I was about to die, and I can't speak for everybody with this, but this is my own personal thought. If I was about to die and I had a wife and children, which I do, I would spend every last moment that I could speaking to them. I wouldn't give two shits what the news broadcasters thought of my life or thought of my predicament or anything like that. I wouldn't have, maybe that would have been the second call I made to the news station or to a fire department, because there were no records of him ever even calling 911. He just called his wife, got a phone call from his friend, and then called the news station. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So to the family, if you see this, I apologize if this sounds or seems insensitive. That's not my goal. My goal is to get to the truth, and I don't think that we've been told the truth at all in the 15 years that that this has passed. So forgive me for that, but I really think this is something that needs to be talked about. Maybe have somebody analyze other audio of Jim's voice to verify whether or not that's actually Jim's voice. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Like and share this video. Get the word out. Just for one more thing that doesn't make sense about the things that happened on 9/11. This is Tim with Op-Ed Daily. Peace out.